Just wondering what your impressions are of the Pac-12 through now the non-conference season is over, and just from what you've been able to see.
I think a couple of the programs have really gotten better, and when I say that, I don't only mean from last year to this year, but just here in the last 3, 4, 5 weeks. The obvious is Arizona and UCLA. They're playing very well. There's a few others that have had their moments. Oregon, Arizona State, Stanford's played some good ball. You know, Washington went back to Connecticut and got beat, but now they have all their pieces there. They're healthy, and they did some really good things. Thought they executed well on both ends of the court. They just got beat by a good team 3,000 miles away. So I was impressed with the way they played too.
I think it helps the conference's reputation having that one team like Arizona that's in the top 5 and kind of has everyone's attention.
Yeah, no doubt about it. When Arizona does real well, UCLA does real well, they're good representatives of our conference.
How do you handle expectations from a standpoint of you always want to win the conference championship? Everyone is basically already handing it to Arizona. Is it still for you, we're planning on winning the Pac-12 this year?
Yeah, I would answer that. You know, when Tad Boyle was sitting in a room last January, and maybe people asked him the same question, or any of the rest of us, it's rarely the team that's actually picked to win the conference. You know, not only in our conference, but a lot of them. It's just hard to tell how things are going to go throughout the next 2.5 months. So the light is at the end of the tunnel. You know, we've got some guys that are playing pretty good basketball right now. I think we can get better as a team, and if you peak at the right time, you have that opportunity.
Sure. Do you have an expectation at all for how many teams you think the Pac-12 can get in the tournament this year?
My guess right now would be 3 or 4. I don't think that's stretching it. I don't think it's being conservative. I just think right now probably 3 or 4.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about Mike's play from the Idaho State game. It sounded like he gave a real a spark, a lot of energy in that game. Take me through maybe his performance that day.
Well, fortunately for us, he was scoring early in the game because the rest of us were not scoring the first 4, 5, 6 minutes. And I think at one point I think we had 8 points, and I believe he had all 8. So he did a good job of stepping up, and I think that's a sign of being a leader, being a senior, and kind of taking things in his own hands and being more assertive to look to score when things weren't going real well for the rest of us.
Sure.
So I was happy to see that he had a good game.
He's one of those point guards, I think, that has the ability to go for 30 or 40 on a given night if he wanted to. But is his mentality more of a pass first, or what's his mentality like that when he has the ball?
I think when he has the ball, it's a little of each. He's looking to pass, but we also need him to score. So, you know, going back the last few years with Reggie Moore, it's similar to that, where at times he needs to initiate the offense and distribute the ball. And then there's sometimes during the course of the game or even course of a possession, he needs to be aggressive to look to score.
Sure. Kim, where do you think you guys are at defensively? Seems like the numbers would suggest you had a pretty good start.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. You know, we've had a good start statistically. Utah's had a good start statistically, but a lot of that is determined on who we've played. And I think really I will be able to answer that question a lot better in couple weeks. I think we've done some good things, and I like our guys' attention to detail on the defensive end, but we have room to improve, no doubt about it.
You say attention to detail. I mean, do you feel like they really bought into the idea that, you know, they really have to defend for 40 minutes to win games this year?
Yeah, I think our guys understand what the strategy is for us to be successful. And whether it's for the season, whether it's for a game or just a possession, we need to be able to work hard and sustain throughout a possession. You want to talk about the details, that's what I'm saying.
You had a chance to look at Washington much this week, or?
A little bit. I watched the Connecticut game a couple days ago, but haven't seen any other videos. I mean, I've watched them on TV because it's never ending how many games are on now.
Yeah.
So I've had a chance to watch every team in our conference play a few times. But as far as studying for this Saturday, I've only watched the Connecticut game, their last game.
The way they played, you know, when these last 10 years and when you were there too, could you imagine a time when they would go to the high post offense? Is it going to be a little different seeing that from a Washington team?
Yeah, Coach Romar really likes that offense, and there's a reason why. Coach Wooden had pretty good success with it. Jim Herrick had good success with it. Lorenzo's buddy at North Carolina State, Mark Gottfried, he's having very good success with it, and Lorenzo's going to have good success with it. It takes time to develop that offense, but they've done a good job of sprinkling in their motion or passing game also. So they're doing a good job of running the high post, but at the same time running their passing game.
You mentioned the UConn game a minute ago. I know C.J. Wilcox has had a pretty solid year, and Connecticut held him to just, I think, 2 of 12 shooting. What did you see that they maybe did right that you guys can try and duplicate?
Well, they did a good job on C.J., and there's not many times where C.J. Wilcox goes more than one game without shooting it well. So we are well aware of who he is, and we need to know where he's at all times and try to get a hand up on him. But he's similar to Terrence Ross or Klay Thompson. He's a prolific shooter, and he's got a quick release, and it's a chore to stop him.
Health-wise, Dexter and Bryce were a little banged up the other days. How's everybody?
And then Keaton, he had a concussion the other day, so he's out for probably at least another 4 or 5 days.
In the game he had that?
No, he had it the next day at practice.
Or Dexter?
So Monday. He got it Monday. And Dexter and Bryce, I think they'll be ready to go.
Did they both practice today, or?
No, neither one of them practiced today.
You'd say they're probable then?
Probable for the game.
Tom, any more questions?
I'm good.
Okay, we can take questions from the phone now. Please just state your name before you ask your question.
Howie, could you state that one more time? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I was just saying, Dexter and Levitt, both their injuries, they're just sore. They're not nothing serious, nothing broken or anything.
No, nothing too serious.
That's good.
They both got banged up in the last game, and we're just giving them a few days off.
You expecting to practice tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Ken, it's Troy in Wilson.
Hi.
Hey, we were writing a story on Brock this week, and I was wondering, talk about his development a little bit, especially since he's become really the primary option after D'Angelo and Clay left.
He's done a great job of taking on that role, and what's important is for somebody in that role who's scoring a lot of points is to be humble about it, especially around his teammates. And I think our guys have embraced Brock, and they want to see him succeed. He's a senior. He's a great kid, and I think that goes along with guys trying to set him up, whether it's setting a good screen for him or getting him the ball, giving him space, just buying into the fact that he's our best scorer.
And have you ever, coached a kid or seen a kid that kind of shrugs off everything the way that he does? It seems like nothing really kind of bothers him.
Well, he's had a few technicals this year. In fact, I think he's the only guy on our team that's had a couple. So, he's a great kid, but he's a competitor. He doesn't back down. It might not look like it, but he does not back down from anybody. He really brings it.
And I guess how important is it for him to they had the tour. You guys had your tour in Australia, and I know for the Gonzaga game there was a bunch of high school kids up there. How important is it for him to A, be able to go home and kind of show off that type of stuff as a Coug, and B, being able to sort of, I maybe be a representative?
I'm sure it's important. He has a lot of appreciation for where he's from, and he's done a great job of representing Australia here at Washington State and everywhere he's been. You know, Washington State had Aaron Baines before I was here, and now we have 3 kids, Brock, Dexter, and James, and I think all of them have represented Australia very well.
And I know Dexter came in a year after Brock, and you know, has the success with Brock helped, especially getting a guy like James Hunter?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. You know, anytime you already have a guy from a certain school or certain AAU program, even a country, it always gives you inroads in recruiting other guys.
And is that a pipeline, I guess, that you're hoping to keep open into the future as well?
Yeah, we would like to do that. Ben Johnson played basketball there a few years ago and has good contacts there, and so we will continue to get over to Australia and recruit that area.
Cool. Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey, Coach. Todd Divers from the Tacoma News Tribune. How are you?
Good, thanks.
How much different does Washington look to you? I know you said you saw them briefly, but their pace is down and just their style so different. Not just because of the high post offense, but also defensively, they've kind of struggled this year. What have you seen?
Well, I've seen a team that's starting to realize their identity, and I thought the Connecticut game showed that. They got out and denied the passing lanes more. They pressured the ball a little bit more. They definitely executed their high post offense, and I think it just helps when you've got healthy bodies. They now have Andrew Andrews back in the lineup, and he's a good player. And Kemp, he's back in there. So now they're a good 8, 9 deep. And I think it's the first time all year maybe he's had all the guys out there. So they're healthy at the right time.
And when you scout the high post offense, what, in general terms, what's important to tell your guys, and what do you want them to understand, and how do you get them to kind of counter the counters that are built into that system?
It's a good question because they have a lot of counters for their shooters. It's not just get the ball to the high post, duck in on the weak side. They're good in that area, but they're also utilizing their shooters extremely well, and they're finding opportunities to penetrate. So it's a high post offense, but it's a little more stagnant than their motion game, but they're not just slowing it down either. They're executing well.